Hello. Hi everyone. Welcome to Selenium Python training program. Today we are going to study about page object model. So what exactly this page object model is? In the real world, majority of the frameworks, whatever you are using are implemented on top of page object model itself. See, the simple point here is, let me open the previous test script, the unit test, whatever we have created. So this is the test script wherein which we generated a report in the last session, right? This test script contains the page properties. See, the whole script contains a page properties here. So for suppose, assume that this is a username field, and as of now in this example we used in a line number 16. For suppose this ID property we used it in 15 times in different lines of a codes. Okay, we used one property, basically id is equal to Suren. Some property is there for an object, and we performed 15 different operations on a 15 different lines within our program. Great. Moving further, after a couple of releases, okay, after a couple of releases, for suppose if this property got changed, then what it will happen? Whenever this property got changed, then you have to identify all the 15 places and you need to replace it. I can say simply control find and control replace. Okay, you can do that. If I used it in a single class, for suppose if I use that property in multiple classes, then it will be difficult for me to update all the places where I have used, and somehow I may miss one or two places also. One or two classes I may miss updating that particular file, right? To avoid all such a things, this page object model comes into the picture. So in the page object model, what we are doing means we are creating individual classes, and whatever the page properties are there, we are storing all the page properties in those classes itself. Okay, in those classes itself. For suppose, let me show my test script what we have created. This test script has a login test and as well as a create user test. So for this situation, I can create two classes. One is a login class in which I will define all the login page properties here. And the second class I can create is a landing page, or I can say a home page, wherein which all the home page properties I will define here. And the third thing I can do is I can create a last class, which is a create a user page, in which I will define all the user creation properties here. Properties means it's a hard for our automation testing. All the properties we are going to specify in an individual classes. Finally, wherever we are writing down the test cases, simply call those properties. Okay, simply call those properties. So this can be achieved if I am considering a sample scenario now. I have to create two packages. In a first package, I can define the properties, and in the second package, I can define my test cases. Okay, so let me do this step within my PyCharm editor. So what I'm going to do right now is, see here, I'm creating a new directory, page object model 1. Okay, I created a new directory, page object model 1. And now here in this directory, I'm creating one more directory for my pages, and my another directory is for my test cases. Okay, within my test cases, I have to create my actual logic. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is, so here in this situation, earlier we have already created one unit test case which will perform log into a Salesforce application, and even it will it will navigate to create a user page in which it will enter username or a first name value, right? Simply copy the entire file and paste it here. Okay, so my previous script, whatever I have created, is under the unit test and it is in a unit test 7. So right click, copy it. Let me cross check this unit test 7. It has the reporting feature also there in that unit testing 7. Copy that and paste it here in the test. And while pasting, naming it as login test. Okay, in this test, what I want to do right now is, for now, I just want to focus only on a login functionality. Hence, I'm commenting the test script related to create user. Whatever the test is there related to create user, I just commented that. Okay, that's fine. So here, the ultimate objective of this page object model is we need to identify the page properties and we need to create them in a separate file, right? All the page properties, you have to separate them in a separate file. So here, I'm opening this login.salesforce.com. This login page has a username, password, and as well as a login button. So here, I'm going to pages and I'm creating a new Python file and I'm naming it as a login page. Okay, I created a login page and I'm defining a class, naming it as login page prop. Login page prop is going to define all the page properties here. And def, I can see init here. Init is a method which is a default constructor in Python. And what I am doing for this one is I am passing this driver instance to this init method. Okay, guys, the reason why I am passing this driver instance to this particular method. Okay, now, okay, this will create confusing. Let me delete that one. I don't want this init package. So forgot about it. I just created a new class. And in this particular class, we need to define the page properties, right? Whatever the page properties are there, we have to define the page properties here. So what I'm going to do right now is, okay, def and okay, let me create a method or, okay, so let's go with an init for now. I'm not passing the driver instance in this case. Okay, I'm not passing the driver instance in this case. Now, self dot, okay, and here, what I want to do right now is username underscore text field underscore ID property. So from the browser, whatever the username text field ID property is there, store it here. See, right click, inspect, and the ID property here is a username. Copy it and paste it here. The similar way, self dot password underscore, again it's a text field only and it's an ID property, is equal to, let me store my password property here. See, I'm trying to inspect these properties, but we have already the login test where we have those properties. So here, self dot login underscore button equal to, let me copy the property from this previous test. See, the login button is having an ID property and here login button underscore ID. See guys, I'm defining a naming convention in a clear way that username, it's a text field and it is an ID property. Password, it's a text field and this is an ID property. Login button and it is an ID property. So I have defined all my page properties within this particular class. Right, guys? We have a defined all the page properties so far. So once after we have a defined these page properties, the next point which I need to do is go to these tests, and here let us use those page here. So import and page object model 1, from where the pages are there, and from the pages you have a login page. Okay, from the pages you have a login page. Import what I want to import. I just want to import login. Okay, in the login page we have a login page dot a prop. Okay, we have a login page dot a prop. I have a imported here. Okay, so this should be from, right? I have changed from page objects. Under the pages we have a login page. Import this login page prop. And now once after we imported that one, then in the login method, I have to create an object to the page which has a properties, right? I have to create an object to the page which has a properties. So what I am going to do right now is login prop is equal to login page properties here. And now here, whenever I use login prop dot, see here, I can find the page properties, whatever I have defined here. Login button ID, these things I can see here. Now, what I'm going to do now, earlier we already have a login logic defined. This line is entering the username, and now this property I have already defined in another class, and the instance here is a login prop dot username text field. So what I am doing means driver dot find element by login prop dot username text field. So this is what my property I have a defined. Call that from here. The similar way, call the password also from that particular page. The similar way, call login button from that particular page. See here, guys, in a simple terms, the page properties I have a defined here, these three, directly I'm calling my test here. The only difference between the earlier test, unit test, whatever we have created, and this test is, in this test, we are converting the properties into a properties file, and we are calling the properties from the page properties file. That's it. I'm just calling it from that file itself. Now, when I execute my test script, it should execute without having any issues. So let me right click run as this unit test. I just want to execute my script. This time it should perform this operation without having any issues. Okay. See, it should enter the username and a password. Let us see it whether it is entering or not. So it's not entering here. So there is some issue. Let us see what exactly this issue is. Yield traceback, there is an issue. Self.driver login page data properties has login page object has a no attribute username text field. Attribute error. So it's trying to access it, but it's getting failed here. Okay, so what I want to do right now means let me comment these three lines first of all. Login page, let me try to print this info and see whether it is printing that a property here in this case or not. Okay, I just want to see whether that page property itself is coming or not with this print statement. Whenever I used this one, it should get the username property and print here. So it's not printing that information as well. So the issue out over here is it's having an issue in establishing a connection with that file and accessing the content from that particular file, right? Okay, that's fine. So here, what is the issue? Login page. So we have to go with the login page dot properties itself, and I was able to access it, but I am unable to see. Okay, let me look into this. Just a minute, guys. Let us see what happened here. So guys, let me see this error message once again. See, from my analysis, I understood that it's having an issue in accessing the information present in a properties file itself. Definitely the error message it's stating as the issue is in a properties file. See here, if you clearly observe attribute error, okay, that's fine. It's an attribute error. And in this particular error, it is mentioning that login page object has a no attributes. See, at the time of a creation, I thought to create or not this init, right? Let me delete these inits, and wherever this self dot is there, just remove it. I don't want to use like that. In a simple class, I have these variables. By looking into these error messages, I understood that this might be an issue with the init, the constructor, whatever we have created. I just deleted that constructor, and to cross check what I am doing means I'm just commenting these lines of a code. Majority of lines in my unit test got commented. When I run my test script this time, after launching a browser, I am asking it to print this field. See here, this time the username is populating. So it means it is capturing the data from that particular file. Now delete this line and uncomment this one. Okay, uncomment this one. So just let me uncomment this one. Okay, so uncomment this one, and even I just want to uncomment these lines as well. Okay, so these are the lines related to my username, and the only thing here login prop, right? Let me update this login prop, and here after this one, so we need to define them in this proper order, right? The lines whatever we have created, so I'm just calling them in this one. So this is what my stuff is, so I have defined that. The only issue which I have identified is here we created a constructor earlier for a different purpose that created an issue. Hence, I deleted my constructor, and this time, I'm trying to run my test script, run as a unit test. So whenever I'm trying to execute my test script, it's getting executed. Okay, so it should enter the username and a password. Let us see whether it is entering. See, this time it entered the credentials successfully and it performed the desired operation. That's great. So this is the first test, whatever we have. And we have commented the second test, which is performing operations on two different pages. One is an application home page, and then the next one is on the application create user page. So for my understanding, what I'm doing means here, I'm creating another Python file and I'm naming it as home page. And I can create another file with a name as create a user page. So in the create user page, we can define all the properties related to create user. The similar way in the home page, we can define those properties. So here, my home page, this is what my object property is. Copy this object property, go back to the home page, and here create dot underscore button xpath. Okay, create a button xpath. This is what the property I have defined, and then create user XPath. So in the home page, we have two different objects. One is a create a button, and from there you need to click on a create a user. These are the two properties you have to define in a home page. I have updated here, and I'm closing that page. And then in the create a user page, we have a frames and as well as an objects. So here, copy the frame information. So I'm defining it as create a user new frame equal to, so and of course this is an xpath, right? Underscore xpath. Okay, new frame xpath I have defined here. After this frame, the next thing what I need to do here, I need to enter my first name, which is an id property. Okay, first name underscore id is equal to, this is what my first name id property is there. So I have a specified this information. Good enough. Now I have created these two properties in this file. Save this file. Now my properties are in a, for this test user or a create user, I have in a different pages. So first of all, uncomment this piece of a code. so that I can write down the logic. See here, initially I uncommented this piece of code now, and then I need to create an object to the two different pages. In my situation, my desired objects are in a home page and as well as a create user page. So here, home page is equal to, I want to create an object to this home page, and prior that we have to import it, right? We have to import it, then only I can create an object. So here I'm going to this one. Okay, so one small thing I missed here, guys. So if you observe the login, we created a class where we forgot to create a class here in this home page. So class home page prop. Okay, so I have a defined this home page property classes here. The same way in the create user page, I'm creating a new class create a user prop again, and let me specify this here. So all the properties are there within these classes itself. Now what I am doing means, from I want to import, right? I want to import those pages. Page objects model one dot pages dot, and this time I would like to perform operation on a home page, and the home page has a home page property. So I want to create an object to a home page property. See here, home page property equal to home page. So this is I have a defined in a home page. So home page property dot, I need to click on a create button first. The similar way, home page dot, I need to create user button. Good enough. And after that, the next page we have is a create user page. Again, from page objects, under the pages, create user page, import. Okay, create a user prop. What happened? So here, create user page. So what happened? Okay, the syntax should start with a create user. So copy this one and create user pop, it got a created. And now let me create an object here. So create a user is equal to creating an object to that. And now here, this iframe property I have a defined already. So first name and create a new ID property. Good enough. And this is the ID property. So create a user dot first name ID. That's it. I have a specified this info here. Like this, we accessed the information from a different pages. And here my time loading should be at 35 seconds between the login method and as well as a create user method, so that I can manually enter that particular stuff. So let me save my test script. That's it, guys. I have created my test script successfully with multiple pages, and somewhere it is throwing some error. Why? Let me delete this line, and here time dot sleep 35, save it. Okay, let us see how this is going to work. And prior to that, what I'm trying to do means, let me log in into my Gmail application, so that I can directly capture my, right, I can directly capture my verification code, whichever it is triggering to my email. So now let me run my script and see whether there are any errors or not. See, there is an error in line number 35. Okay, line number 35, create user self pursuits. Okay, so create user self is having some issue, indentation error. Okay, so maybe they are not starting appropriately. Okay, what happened? Unindented does not match over indentation level. So there is a issue with respect to these gaps here, what we have created. Okay, let me see. This method should start here. Okay, this method should start here, and All these should start from here. Okay, not a problem. Let me correct this one so that it will execute without any issues. Okay, so I just changed this one. So this time the error message is not there. See, the point is all the this should start from this line, right? That's what this error message is stating. And here it is mentioning that create user is having an issue. And even I have already logged into my Gmail to capture the verification code. Now let me try to run my test script. Run as this a unit test, and it's getting executed. And after login, let us try to get that verification code and put it here. So go to the browser, get the verification codes from the browser. Where is this code? Copy it, go to the browser, paste it, click on a verify. Okay, I entered the code manually, and let us see, guys. So it is trying to execute the login method as it is waiting for 35 seconds there. And once this 35 seconds got completed, then it will try to click on a create and then create users. It should perform the further operation here. Let us see. See, it created that. I created a test script till entering my first name. Okay, so it navigated till the create user and it entered first name successfully. So this is the way how to create a simple test script in page object model. Okay, so this is the simple way how to create our test scripts in the page object model. Good enough. So once we executed this test script, this is the login test which has all the page objects. Right click, show in an explorer, and let me open it in a command prompt. And now python underscore login page.py, I'm trying to execute this one. So it's having some module issue. So whenever we are having such kind of a module issues, we need to check out this line properly, and then you can run it from the command prompt. Automatically it will be executing the test script. But this is the way how to create and configure your test cases and complete overview on page object model by creating three different pages and using them in a single login class. Okay, cool. So in the next session, we will see an overview on a page factory model. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Bye bye.